Welcome everyone to our June office hours. We have Miss Sharon Haynes with us, and I'll give you a snapshot of who Sharon is. Sharon is the Coosa County Extension Coordinator for Auburn University, Alabama Cooperative Extension System. She has over 27 years of educational outreach experience with Auburn and Mississippi State universities. Sharon started the New Leaf Health Coalition in 2015 for Coosa County. Her passion is working with rural communities and counties in health and economic development education. She holds a degree, a Bachelor of Science degree in Foods and Nutrition from Alcorn State University, Master of Science in Nutrition from Mississippi State University, with additional studies from University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign and Dominican University. She completed her dietetic internship at Dominican University and is completing an educational specialist degree in adult education from Auburn University. She has several certifications and is a Class 31 Leadership Alabama member. Sharon has served on various boards such as Talladega County Volunteer Program Board of Directors, Volunteer Connections of Central Alabama, Coosa County Chamber of Commerce, a member of the National Extension Association of Family and Consumer Sciences, where she has served as state president for both Alabama and Mississippi. She is also a member of the Epsilon Sigma Phi and the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Sharon is a Diamond Life member of Delta Sigma, is that Theta?
Theta.
Sorority. And she is married to Marvin Haynes and has one daughter, Kristen Haynes, and she's a beautiful young lady for sure. So welcome, Sharon, and I'll give you the floor. Welcome everyone. And Sharon, I don't know if you want to just go through your presentation and wait for questions, or you just however you want to do it. And if they have questions, they can put them in the chat box too, and we'll address those as we go along. If we don't get them answered somewhere during the presentation, if that's okay with you.
Okay, thank you, Miss Sheila. And good, it's still morning time on my end. It's 11 here, so we're still at the, as we say, we're at the brunch area time. But good morning to each of you all. Since it's such a small group, if I'm looking correctly, I think we have about 6. So if you have questions, if you've been like me, my mind has been just going 99. So if you have questions, we'll be very informal here today. You just welcome to go ahead and unmute your mic and go ahead and ask your questions, or you can put them in the chat for Ms. Sheila and we can go through the chat and answer those questions accordingly. So again, thank you, Sheila, for allowing me the opportunity to come and share a little bit of what's happening with us in Coosa County, Alabama. For those of you, that's Rockford, Alabama, is the mainstay. Just to kind of help you maybe geographically, if you know anything about Alabama, we are really about 30 miles from Montgomery, Alabama. And I always say that because people can pretty much know or heard about Montgomery, even if it's just a civil rights movement. They've been recognized. You can associate that with something. So what I want to do this morning is just, I kind of got about 27 slides. They're not all written slides. A lot of them are pictures of some things that projects and programs that we have done here in the county. And I'm going to kind of just bring you up to speed of where we were pre-COVID, where we are now, as they say, post-COVID, and then just a kind of snapshot of when she mentioned me getting started in 2015 here in Coosa. And I'll just say this much, our demographics has really changed here in Coosa tremendously. So are you able to see my slides? Are you guys, can you see that snapshot? Everybody can see my slides. Good deal. So just kind of give a quick little snapshot of Coosa. When I started in 2015, you see that population number of 10,588. Well, in 2015, that population was around about 16,000 people. So you can see our population has dwindled over time. And it really went down tremendously after COVID. And it happened at a time that I could say couldn't have been the worst time for me, because those were a lot of our movers and shakers. We did have some individuals who are no longer here with us behind the pandemic. And so that meant for us having to do a lot of regrouping with our coalition. But just to kind of give you a snapshot of what Coosa County looks like, that's our population. Mostly 55 years of age and older live here in Coosa. Those that are of the middle class or working class area, they are outside of the county. However, they do migrate into the county. So in other words, they work outside, they spend their money outside of the county area a good bit, but at nighttime they come here. So the word is that they're asked people a lot of times, are you a bedroom person, or are you the community person? And when they say the community person, that means you work here, you live here, you do everything here. But if you're the bedroom person, you just basically sleep here and everything else is outside of the pockets. And that's what we've been trying to change that picture in a nutshell. Two major industries is what we really have here for as employment goes. A lot on the more local level, most of the times individuals, if they are working locally, they're working here with our school or they're working here with law enforcement. So those are pretty much, when you talk about the mainstream for revenue that comes into play. We have one school system in our entire county. When I started in 2015, we had two school systems. We had one in Goodwater and one also in Rockford. But now we're down to one school system and approximately about 700 of those students. One grocery store, Piggly Wiggly, that's in the entire county. And thank God for the Dollar General stores. A lot of people might not like them, but here in Coosa, we love them because we have about 5 of them. And fortunately, they've been able to have some produce in their areas. So that's been a biggie for us. We do have 2 food pantries and 1 produce stand, and that is primarily due to our New Leaf Coalition. They kind of help when we spearheaded in 2014. We ended up partnering with some churches and some other faith-based entities, and we have 2 food pantries that are around the clock. That means they are not seasonal, they do not close down. They also have an emergency shelter part for individuals who are needing. Some pantries, they just give out food maybe 1 time a month and that's it. But this one stays, these 2 pantries are consistent. And so we're very proud of that here in Coosa, knowing with the limited access that we have. We have the local health department. Ms. Sheila can tell you, I think it's probably around about 2017. We were the only county in the state that did not have a health department. And that was heartbreaking. But now, as of 2022, the health department has come back into the county. And so that has been a big plus for us. And so you may ask the question, what happened? How did you end up losing the health department? And I can elaborate on that in a little bit as well. And we do have 2 independent physician offices, and we have 1 dental office here in the county. So that's just to kind of paint a picture of what our county looks like. Now, from a program strategy standpoint, the New Leaf Committee, which is our coalition, we basically had 3 goals in mind. And we, from the beginning up until now, we've had to maybe revamp a little bit because of the size of our coalition. And I'll just say this much. Our coalition started off with 8 members, and now we are down to 4 members. And so we are constantly looking for new partners to come in. Either individuals that are movers and shakers, they work outside the county. So thank God for Zoom. So we've been able to kind of do some recruitment that way to get people to try to be a part of us. A lot of people, they will join us for the meeting, but not necessarily want to be a true member of the coalition. And that's fine too. And that's one of my things that I told Ms. Sheila I wanted to really address for folks who are struggling. I'm not going to say I've been the struggler of the struggler, but I think it's been a tough battle, and I have some things that will be very beneficial. I think that has worked for me and may can work for you as well in your counties or in your situations that you may be. But 3 things that we really wanted to do with our coalition, and that was number 1, we wanted to promote that access for healthy foods, because we only had 1 grocery store. We didn't have any type of Dollar General stores at that time that even offer any produce or anything of that nature. So we were really, as they may say, a food desert or limited access county. And then 2, physical activities. The only physical activity that individuals got if they walked down some of the county roads, but for us having actual parks, that was something that the cities had parks, but they were a park and you see maybe one swing set, or you saw maybe one volleyball court or net, and that was it that was in those parks. So we really wanted to really try to streamline that and make it open access for physical activity. And then, of course, we wanted to improve the overall education for gardening. And that's because we're a rural area and we saw people have plenty of gardens in their backyards, or they were doing raised bed gardens in some areas and some were not. And then we wanted to just educate people, what will it take to be, or what will it take for you to get started? What will it take for you to have sustainability of a garden? Can you all partner up and do what we call community gardens? And all of us know that. But can we also do what we call shared gardens? And shared gardens were basically common spaces, but families could come together and work that particular area. So where I'm located at now is at the old high school. And down the street from us is one of our shared garden areas that we have. And so what that is, there are plots there and multiple families can come in and they can basically, we call it a rental, but it's like $1. And they can use that land to grow whatever, vegetables or fruits or whatever. They have to maintain it. That's the biggest part of it. But it is accessible for those who may be living in a housing authority or living in a housing complex and they don't have any means of setting up a raised bed garden, or they don't have access to land. So we thought this would be a better way to kind of help expand that area. So those have been our 3 biggest program strategies that we have really tried to focus on within from 2015 up until now. I would say that. So one of the things that we started doing new prior to after COVID hit, we put in what we call the I Hope program. And that is basically helping, that is healthy opportunities for people through extension. And where we so link with extension is because you heard me say earlier, we only have 4 coalition members. We lost our health department. So when we lost our health department, we lost our coalition members. When we lost one of our doctor's office, we lost our coalition members. So we had to come up with some other ways. So members that are a part of our coalition, just to give you a snapshot of those, they are individuals from faith-based entities. They're individuals from our local community, I should say community, but they're local government entities. They work in that capacity. And then there are, of course, individuals like myself who work in education. And then we have one individual who is considered to be a community development person, and she's actually our United Way person. So those are our 4, those are, as I say, hanging on by a string. Those are our four members, but I think we're powerful 4, and you'll see some of the work that we've been able to do. So after the coalition, after the pandemic, rather, the coalition decided we needed to launch something that would get people engaged, that would still keep that separation, having them to feel safe in the area. So we teamed up with the Goodwater Youth Development and Recreation Center. The mayor decided, because we had a gym, but nothing again was there, just a facility. And so we just went before the local city councilman and expressed some concerns about wanting to put in a walking program. And so they said, well, we don't have a true walking track, in which they don't, but they have this big, huge parking lot that's not being utilized. And so what we did was got with some of the city officials and we brought down some of Auburn's individuals, and we kind of mapped off, or as you say, kind of roped off the area for it to be a walking lane, as they say, as a safe lane, walking lane, because people do come into the rec area for dropping off children and so forth. So we have what we call the walking lane. And so basically we have them to basically just kind of mathematically look at how many miles would it be, brought in paint and so forth to actually designate that. So we try to do things that would cost us not to have a lot of money, because we didn't have a lot of money. And so local government agreed to do that. And so every third Tuesday of the month, we do a program. They can walk freely at any time, but every third Tuesday of the month, we do a walking we incorporate the walking program with the nutrition program. And so what we do is that you see that 8 to 10 window, because that's usually when it's pretty cool. And some now, since it's been hot here in Alabama, people, of course, been going early. But we let them do their first round of walk, and then after around about the 8 to 10 window, we come in and we incorporate some type of nutrition program. We have come in and brought in stretch programs, because during COVID, we realized a lot of people, for mindset, for mental well-being, we brought a team in with our Alta Point agency to do that. And so these have been things that we have done right now at this point that's really has taken off tremendously for us. So in addition to that, we definitely wanted to continue that access to healthy foods. And our goals there was we wanted to give those individuals that we noticed that had gardens or were doing any type of produce an opportunity to sell, because again, this is still an area where fresh fruits and vegetables are very limited. And so four things there, like we say, local produce, and then of course, local farmers, opportunity to sell, residents, they could buy locally. We wanted to increase it because we have a lot of, remember, 55 and older. So we have a lot of elderly people in the community who do not drive, who do not have access to transportation. But fortunately, we were able, those 2 food pantries that I told you that we have, they have a church bus. And so now that church bus is what we call, some people call it the commodity share program. And so what they can do, they can come into, or they can go online to a couple of our farmers. We've gotten them to that point. They do have access, and they can place a pre-order, and that little church bus or van will go and deliver to those individual residents. So that has been a big plus for us right after COVID. We did that.
So that's sort of like an online pickup. That is so
almost
innovative. I love that.
It's our rural urban, as they say, our rural urban Uber.
That is awesome. This is the first time I've heard of anyone using their church bus to, like do the shopping or do the pickup for them.
And I will say this much to you guys, it was a headache, because we had, and when I say headache, we had to take into account the churches that would do it, because we had to think about the liability. That was another issue that came before the churches, who would take the liability. And so there was a lot of things that we had, a lot of steps that we had to take into accountability. But fortunately, we were able to have those 2 churches to say, hey, this is not much. And so they are part of another program as well. So that helped them along the way to work through some of the steps to get there. And so that's been a great thing. And then, of course, this has really helped strengthen our community engagement. We're doing it so that people can see that, hey, the coalition is still here. Every month, the coalition used to do some type of program, some type of event prior to COVID. But after COVID, things went down. So now we're trying to get people back into that realm of understanding that the coalition is still vibrant. We're still available to help them in those access. So I'm going to show you a couple pictures on the next slides. And this was just when we got ready to start doing our gardens. You can see we kind of came in and started at some of the beginning stages, and then over to the end. This is one of our raised beds gardens. It's not quite as high, but we have some that are what we call ADA accessible for individuals who are in wheelchairs and so forth at our senior complexes. So we have 2 senior complexes that have allowed us to put in garden bins, as we call them, for their residents to be able to share, and they're able to plant small things like peppers. A few of them are planted things that they're able to handle and things that they want. So that was our beginning stage. And so here we are, and as you said, you can see this was my coalition. And like I said, we're down to 4. You see that picture in the bottom corner, we're down to 4. I hate to say this, but a good number of my coalition members passed during COVID. So that was very, very heartbreaking for us. And so that's where the numbers have kind of truly dwindled, along with individuals getting other jobs and relocating to other places within the state or either out of state. So For us to be able to maintain this, and I'll talk about this a little later too with one of our funders, we partner up with our Soil and Water District office. So I'm not sure if any of your county or any of your states, or I'm sure your states, but counties have soil and water district conservation offices. But if you might want to look into that, because that's who we got a lot of our funding from to help us with our gardening projects, because it's soil and water. What do you need to grow a garden? You need those two things. And so we partner with United Way. They're on the board with us, but they also help with community action, which is another outreach base. And so that's where we were able to get the seeds for our families to help them along the way. So we did a lot of moving parts there to make this actually work. And so we did, prior to the pandemic, this is what you would normally see on our main strip when we do what we call market days. And so this is just to kind of give you an example that, hey, before COVID, hey, things were going, and now, we're trying, and this is another picture of what we had. This was our facility before we even got the gardens going, and people wanted to sell their items, and we wanted to test the market too, just to see how many producers and how many vendors we would get that would be participating in this, because we didn't want to, remember, it's 4 people, it's a lot of work. So we didn't want to just launch it and we not have vendors that would be able, or producers that would be able to sell. You got all the community people coming, but you have no product. So what we did 2 Saturdays in the month, we would actually have set up in the gym, which is one of the old schools that closed down, and the city owns that. And so they will open it up, and we will have 2 days of indoor market day, just to see what kind of vendors we got. And so you can see it went very, very well. And so that's what led us to launching the other part of our gardening.
Hey, Sharon, when I was here, I remember your garden being in the downtown area.
Yes.
This is at the high school then.
Yes, ma'am.
So, okay. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
And
I was going to say the downtown didn't take off. When we took our hands off of it and was hoping to have some of the community base in one of our government entities was agreeing to take over it, they didn't hold their end of the bargain. I'll just say that much.
Okay. I was noticing too on one of your previous slides, the wall is that concrete? Did somebody put that together, or? They did. Okay.
Like a little retaining wall.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. I just hadn't seen that done, and I was thinking, now, is that downtown? But I don't think that's downtown.
No.
Okay.
No. So we did that just to kind of test the waters on that. And so as a spearheading off of that, we also wanted to continue to educate, people about gardening. So we partner up with our extension agents, and we did like pesticide trainings. We did like backyard tomato workshops, those types of workshops, just to give people some ideas of how they could do the gardening, particularly those that were going to be a part of the shared community garden, because a lot of people was like, I'm sharing a space with someone. Well, how is that going to work? And what do I need to do in terms? So we brought in some of our Auburn extension agents and specialists from campus to kind of help us along the way to give that education piece to individuals. And prior to that, this was like early on in our program. When we first got started, we this is when we actually started our coalition, Sheila, back in 2015. We took people to 2 gardens, that's 2 farms rather, that's here in the county, so they could see what they have available. And unfortunately, the Eagle Roofs herb garden is no longer there. Sheila, I think you guys may have came. I'm not sure when you guys came for your visit, if we were able to go there or not. But the owners of that garden, they are no longer with us. And so their kids are in Pennsylvania and some other areas of the state. And so, but they are hoping to get a owner. It is up for sale. So they are hoping that they would get an individual to come into that play. But For me, we ended up renting the tour bus and we took people on the tour so they could know what was right there in their back door. Eagle, like I said, Eagle Roost, they're no longer in existence, but the Roy Valley Farm, it is pretty much prime and existing, and they do what they call the commodity share program. And so they have an online list of all the stuff that they have, and they actually bag it up and they ship it out to individuals or have it delivered to the homes. And they're the only ones that we know of right now in Coosa County that does that.
Does anyone have any questions for Sharon?
Okay. So this was just to kind of change the view. What are we doing for in terms of the nutrition and the health education part? This previous year in February, we know that's always National Heart Association Month, Heart Awareness Month, and so we put on a lunch and learn for some residents in Goodwater area. That's, and you hear me say Goodwater area. That's our most I say populated area, but it's also our more area that is more rural and have some access, but don't have access, if you know what I mean by that. So we launched a couple programs. This one, the pictures that you see here, this was the one that we actually took. If you see in the middle, this is one of the old high schools again. This is called the Goodwater High School, but now it's called the Goodwater. It's actually called the Innovative Healthy Kitchen School. And so with the help of our governor, called the Passion Project grant, we went after those dollars, which was about $50,000. And we went after those if this happened right at the prime of COVID. So we went after those dollars and we were able to take this high school, old cafeteria, or just a part of the cafeteria, not the entire school, but take that cafeteria. And we basically did a whole renovation on it. Flooring, as you can see, put in a TV so that we could be able to do virtual classes for some of the individuals. And so that's where we have programs at. We were trying to do once a month, but with 4 coalition members, we kind of do a quarterly program every month there for individuals to be able to come and participate in some type of health education program. The goal, the governor really wants us to work on making it more of an innovative kitchen. And what she means by that is where a place where people can bring in like tomatoes and things that they wanted to actually do true canning and actually package that products for sale. So we are working with her as well as other government entities to get funding so we can make it a more commercialized kitchen so it can become a test kitchen as well as us continuing our education efforts there. So that's been a biggie, a real big biggie for us on that. So just a couple things that we did pre-COVID, post-COVID. We had some breast cancer awareness programs. You see us there with our mask on. That was because we could not go into the churches. So what we did, we package up information for those churches and we put those bins, we would package it up, had each church on a schedule and they would come to our, Sheila, that's the building that you know us from, the little rock building that we were there. And we will literally set the bins outside for people to come and pick up their information to give out to their residents or give out to their parishioners at their church. So that's the kind of, as I say, the flow that we had to go with and trying to do that. We did continue with our deep classes. They all went virtual. I'm sure everybody pretty much did things virtually. And then we offered a train the trainer certification. So we brought in the few practitioners that were coming into the counties helping with some areas. We asked them if they would be willing to participate in a train the trainer program. And we had about, and it's not a great number, but for us, we were just woohoo, because we had 7 individuals that came from outside. They service Coosa, but their agency is outside of Coosa to actually participate in our train the trainer program. And of course, we continuously did our weekly deep classes, and our deep classes, they were all virtually. We would love to be able to get back and doing face-to-face. And surely that is going to come full tuition. It's myself, and I'm trying to recruit one of the nurses from the health department now, since she's going to be here in the county 3 days a week instead of 2 days a week. Since I'm a dietitian, she's a nurse. We're going to try to team up together and try to launch that program as well. So Sheila, I'm going to try to get that off the ground before I exit to the next step.
Yeah, that would be great. And the DEEP program, is it a 6 or 4 week program?
It's a 6 weeks program.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a 6 week
That's what I was
program.
thinking. Yeah, we've got a few coalitions that still do that DEEP program, but man, it is, I think it's perfect timing. That and the chronic disease self-management program. I just love those and think that they're short
And it
enough
works.
and
Yeah.
and they're
It
really
works for
engaging.
rural
Yeah.
counties tremendously because we have very little resources like any type of support group. We've, like you heard me say, we've just gotten a health department back. We only have those 2 physician clinics here. One is more of a pediatrics, but still we are seeing the rise of diabetes in kids. So with the help of our FNAP program and our SNAP Ed program that goes into the schools, we're able to disseminate some information to parents and to students that way as well. But we really truly love our DEEP program, and we wish we can gradually get it back in person, because there are so many avenues of that program that they really need to be in person to get the full effect of it. And nothing wrong with the virtual, they're getting it, but when they're in person, they're able to experience more things, and we're able to bring in resources. Like we used to bring in a podiatrist, and he could actually show them how to check their foot, bring in the foot meters to actually do the measurements and those types of things. So we really want to get back to being able to bring in those resources.
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
Beth?
Yes.
Hey, Beth, I think that you're not on mute. Did you have a question?
There used to be, is it gone?
Let's see if I can.
Beth, I was going to say Beth has open mic. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as you're doing that, I'll just share with you, if you go to our Facebook page,
Maybe we can
we don't have a coalition Facebook page,
send it
but
to
our
other people
extension
who were
Facebook
there and
page,
have them
you
put it
see
on their
some of these
Facebook page.
resources that's there. So we every week we try to post something on our Facebook page.
What day?
We try to post something on our Facebook page so that individuals let me see, can I was going to see, I can't mute her. I was going to see if I could.
What time is it in Marion County?
I sent her a message. It's
11,
okay.
Which is
Okay.
the same time Polk Council
we're
starts.
waiting on that.
And I don't think there's anybody left to
Find your
help
grant.
Shelly out.
Or is it just luck of the draw? You find them. You know what I'm saying?
I think she, okay.
I
Good
wonder
deal.
if it's their city hall.
No, she's still,
Okay.
okay.
And I think that maybe, what's the address for the city hall?
It's Janet. My question was, where do you find your grants? Is there a certain place you look, or?
That maybe where
I
the
do,
Marion
Janet, and I'm going to, I'm
Chamber of
speed things
Commerce
up.
is.
I'm looking at my clock. I guess I'm still good on time, Miss Sheila. Not
Oh,
still good on.
okay, that's right. I can't remember, but it's
Sheila,
all
you're
along that
muted.
main drive.
Okay, I'm good on time. Ms. Janet, I do have a slide in here, and I'm going to go through some of those sources that help you all to determine where we've been able to get grants and funding from. But as I was indicating, every week we try to, well, just about every other day, we're posting something onto our page that is dealing with gardening, nutrition, or something of that nature, just to kind of help educate.
I guess I can throw this part out then.
As a whole. And so with us getting into planting season and gardening, naturally you'll see more things on our page that are directly towards fruits and vegetables and things of that nature. So we work with not only just our program, but we work with the health
Good to know.
department, we work with the Live Well Alabama, which is through our SNAP Supplemental Nutrition Assistance
Is
Program.
everybody being
And we
cooperative?
also work with our FNEP program as well, to kind of make sure that all of those agencies kind of come together to provide information to our residents. And so the last deal of
Okay,
just
I asked them last year to do it,
this was a
and
biggie
they
for
said
us
yes, and they
during the
didn't. So
pandemic.
you just never
Um,
know
We teamed up with Alta
what
Point.
they will do.
They are one of our agencies that come into the county. They're not per se housed here in Coosa County, but they service Coosa. And so they've been able to come into the county and help offer some mental health type programs for us. And so we've been able to team up with them and offer some virtually. We just recently offered one in person, and that was to our first responders. Believe it or not, they really need it. And so we're going to be offering a second one next month, and that's going to be with our school officials as we prepare them, because that was one of the number one things when we were trying to come back. And when I say come back, the coalition, when we did the quick little assessment, that number one thing that came up there was the pandemic, how to actually, the mental stress, dealing with just a whole, the mental aspects of it. And so we did not have the expertise, but we knew we had some other entities in the county or within the county that could help us. And so we teamed up with them to be able to offer some type of mental health training. And they are a wonderful partner to work with. So as I told Sheila, and when we were putting this together, a couple of things that I really wanted to talk about and look at too was, didn't want to just make it all glorified. It seems that this is just easy. This is a piece of cake. No, it's not. We've had some challenges. We've had some successes. I like to say my challenges are my successes, because that's what make you, once you overcome a challenge, you know, hey, it becomes a success. But when we put in that garden, which in one that Sheila was talking about, that was close to downtown, we had two things in mind going in. We wanted to look at the benefits of it. We did the tour, hoping that would be a plus to educate people. But those were the four things that we really wanted to provide, that, you know, provide families that couldn't otherwise afford things, improve diet and health for folks. Hopefully we would strengthen community engagement, and then offer those educational opportunities. So we had some pros, and these were our pros when it came down to our gardening. You know, we were able to increase the food security for some families. Gardening was a range of physical activity for many individuals. So we got people up, got them going, being able to get that engagement in, also increased their social interaction, which was great. A couple things, like I say, including the mental health aspect, which we really wanted to work on as well. And we thought, you know, these would be all continually basis when we got ready to do the school gardening. But fortunately, it didn't work out as we thought, because again, we had some families, again, did not want to engage. And when I say engage, they were still prone, as I say, and it takes families a while, and these are rural families and elderly families, to say, well, hey, I would be willing to garden with somebody, or I want to garden by myself. And so a lot of individuals decided not to participate. And then we have some that are there. So on a scale, we have roughly about 5 of those shared community spots that are being utilized here in the county. And the big thing that really was a downer for us is during COVID again, we had Master Gardeners Associations. They met monthly. And those Master Gardeners volunteers, they were able to come out because they have to get so many hours. They were able to come out and work with those families. And during COVID, nobody was out. So that meant, you know, of course, that means gardening, the whole aspect kind of took a nosedive. And so we are in the process of rebuilding again, the master gardening program, hoping that we can engage with families and get them back going as well. So the con of the gardening was the watering costs. We didn't think about that. Even though we got a grant from the Soil and Water District, it was not so much of the water costs, but actually putting in the lines. You know, we did not think about the irrigation that we would need to fulfill that. So that is just something, if you decide to do something of this magnitude, that's number one thing is to think about, okay, not me being out there with water hose, but how are we going to do it? The second thing was recruiting and maintaining volunteers, because that's where we end up getting the like of volunteers. We had volunteers prior to COVID, but after COVID, we sure enough did not have the amount of volunteers that we wanted. And it's got to be things that people want. And then the harvesting time. When it came down to us, time for us to harvest the fruits and vegetables that we have out there, you're not going to get people that want to do that all the time. That their harvesting is you put it in a bag and they come and pick up the bag. And we're like, no, we need maintenance. It's just like a house. Like I tell people, if you don't do any paint or any trims or anything, that your garden is going to be the same way. You got to cut weeds, you got to pull weeds, you got to do a work, and it is a task. And the last thing, I hate to say this, I put it up there, but theft and illegal selling of goods, because our gardening was it's a shared common garden, and it was not put in place for you to be able to come and get those items and then resell them. That's where we have those have those market days for those local producers to do that. And so it hasn't been bad, but when early on prior to, we did encounter that. So I did want to go ahead and put that out there, that there's possibility. So you want to think about that. Can I team up with my local sheriff office or some local law enforcement office to help me if your gardens are in an area that may be at risk for such activity? So I will just say it does happen. I'm not going to sweep it under the rug and say it doesn't happen. It does.
This is Janet again. I have a question. So did somebody like volunteer to like till the ground, and then did y'all have a tiller, or with whoever volunteered would come bring their tiller and, till it up?
We did, Ms. Janet, with our grant, we ended up having 2 grants. We got the soil and water grant, and then we got an NRCS grant. And that was through our the small rural development. So we were able to buy a tiller, some other equipment that we could have. We actually had a backpack sprayer, little small items like that, so that individuals. So we just really, to be truthfully, we really just needed bodies, because with the help of those grants, we were able to provide some of the equipment that was needed. But again, recruiting and getting people to be able to dedicate true time to a project. So, 1 week, we may have a good 7 people to show up and help. And then next week you have 1 or 2. So it's having that consistency, and again, having people. So we feel like if we can go back and structure a Master Gardeners Association, where people belong to something, then to me, it just seems like it holds people more accountable. They feel more responsible, and they're going to be there because they are part of a group. And I could be very wrong, but in the past, that's what we have seen when we had our Master Gardeners Association. We had that continuously because they set up schedules. They know who was going to work. B team was this week, C team this week. So, and then we had a person that was the chairman for that committee, and they met. And so they had leadership, stronger leadership than what we can give, because we are there, but we all still have jobs and so forth. And so most of the members are retirees anyway that participate in that. So hope that answers your question. So couple things for us with working with limited resources. This is my thing: communicate. Try to collaborate as much as you can with individuals that are maybe, even as they call it, miss opportunities, MOs. You may say, I missed that opportunity to collaborate because I didn't think about how I could actually work with that individual on a project. but you sit down with a person and you can end up finding there is a way that you can actually build that partnership. And that's what I put on number 4. Don't be afraid to be a third string player. And what I mean by that, you check this, but they have that last little piece that you can that your coalition can actually integrate and be a part of something that they have going on. And I'll just say this much: when we were trying to get started with our walking program, we looked at it, who had what, how could we fit in, and then the city kind of had their identity already in place, what they wanted to put out there, and they had a plan. I just say that much. They had their agenda, and here we are as a third party coming in, wanting to say, hey, let's put lines, let's make this let's make this a walking lane for individuals. But again, if they hear you loud enough, it's okay to be that third string player, because you end up getting some great results at the end. And of course, make the most of whatever resources you have in your hands. Build that rapport with those county, local government entities, because that's huge. And so partnerships. So this is where we are with some of our partners. Of course, we have our extension system, health department, Coosa Valley RC&D councils, our cities. Those are our local officials, and our faith-based organizations. So the nutshell, Ms. Janet, you asked a question: where was funding? Funding was CDC. We went after what we called at that time, they had some engagement money for physical activity and park improvement. And so we went after those dollars from CDC. And now CDC has different pots of monies, as I say, prior to COVID or after COVID. And so the after COVID funding that we have worked with the University of Alabama, I know I'm Auburn, but with the University of Alabama, it's called ENI. It's called Equitable Neighborhood Initiative. The University of Alabama went after the dollars, and so we are a sub-grantee of those dollars. So you may have to, again, that's why I said the partnering comes in tremendously. Your Veteran Affairs Office. If you have never worked with your Veteran Affairs Office, find out what is available under the Disabled Veterans Program. That's how we were able to get funding to put in those handicap accessible raised beds gardens. So they have funding as well. The soil and water districts, your Chamber of Commerce, they may be a source as well. And of course, our Board of Education, and then of course, our Department of Economic and Community Affairs, known as ADECA here in Alabama. And I do believe every state has an Economic and Community Affairs office. And again, your county commissions. For us here in Alabama, we have commissions. Some people call them supervisors, some call them district reps. But find out where at the local level, if those county commissions have any opportunities to get grants if they were to work with another entity. And that's what happened with us with the Good Water School project. We had 2 of those county commissioners. They were able to go after that passion grant funds because they were in an area that was known as a empowerment zone or zone opportunity. Let me get back. Let's see, Sheila, let me get back to where I was. They were known as a source for having funding. So a lot of times the money may not come to you directly, but it can come if they're able to provide the revenue, and you can filter money through the other entities. That works well. And here now, and for me in Coosa, it's been, long as it's legal, it's moral, I'm at the table when it comes to the resources. So that's been a big thing that we did. But I thought this would be a couple things, because I too was not aware of the opportunities through the VA office, but they do have some community development grant monies that they are willing to work with. And right now we're working primarily with them. It'll be a program that will be streamlined just for veterans, but it is a mental health a component that they have money for. And they're looking for programs in health, programs in nutrition, programs in wellness. And so what better way than these coalitions that we have to help work in that area?
That's excellent. And I thank you so much, Sharon, for sharing these funding sources because, you know, our little counties, well, you're part of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So thank you.
Yes. So any questions? That's about it that I had. And I do appreciate everyone staying on, and hope it's been been of some service and some help. I will put my contact information there. You're welcome to email me, send me text messages or whatever. If you want me to email you some of the grant sources, even though they're pertaining to us here in Alabama, I'm sure you can find those sources of something similar in your state or in your counties as well. And I'll be willing to share my contact list.
Yes. And Sharon, you know, if you want to send that to me, I can send that out with the recording once the recording's available. Because it'll probably be sometime the end of next week before we actually get the recording ready to send out. And if you'll send me all of that, I'll send it out to everybody else. Or you can, again, everybody, if you guys want to contact Sharon directly, that's fine. Or if you don't get her email and you said, can I just have her email address or phone number? I can send you her way. So no problem with that. I thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sharon. This has been very, very good. And you know, one takeaway is just having a compassion for your community, you know, and that's really I think the drive. You know, when you live and breathe in your own community and you want to see it better,
Yes,
you know, you stick with it and you dig deep.
that's right.
Yeah,
Right.
you make a difference. Yeah, you surely do. And even though you guys, I'm sorry that you guys lost so many members, you know, during COVID, but you know, you guys have survived, thank the Lord, and
Yes.
and are moving forward with
We
some
are.
new innovative things. So if anyone has any final thoughts or questions for Sharon, we'll hang on here for just a little minute longer. If not, I'll let we'll get the recording ready, and any resources that Sharon will find. We'll also have the PowerPoint available for you as well. We'll send it out with the recording. And so you guys are free to go if you want to. Sharon and I will hang out if you have another question for about a minute.
Well, thank you. Thank you both for all of you all for participating. I appreciate it.
Thank you
And
so
happy
much. Enjoyed it.
Good. And happy 4th of July. You guys be safe out there.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Miss Sharon. And
Thank
best
you.
of luck to you. I'm so excited for you. That's great. Just keep me posted with,
I will.
everything. And
I'm gonna put together, Sheila, when we did our grant workshop, we did a grant workshop. This is on the economic development side, but there are some foundations. I didn't go into that because that's another pool. But there are some foundations some are pertaining to Alabama, but some are national foundations.
okay.
That people may want to try to start, you know, see what they can get from foundations.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. You know, we're all struggling here, you know, our little coalitions, and, you know, through COVID, it's just been, it's hit everybody. And
Yes.
so definitely will be a useful resource for these folks. And so we'll get all that info sent out, and I'll be following you on Facebook and your beautiful daughter and her
Thank
pigs.
you. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Let's stay
All
in
right.
touch.
Great seeing you.
Okay, good
Thank
seeing
you
you
so
too.
much.
You have
All
a
right,
good one.
bye-bye.
Thank you so
You
much.
too.
Bye-bye.